If there's one guarantee we all have in life, is change. You will change jobs. You will change the role you do in your organisation. You might become a parent, a step-parent, start a new hobby. There's a whole range of things that you are going to change as you evolve as a human being. And as we do this, there's one emotion most of us share, and that is fear. Fear that we are not good enough, not worthy to be doing this new thing that we're going to be doing in this uncomfortable and unfamiliar territory. So when I turned 40, I decided not to have an affair with my secretary in the back of a red Ferrari, but I did want to shake up my life a bit. So what did I do? I did a stand-up comedy course. Now, this is not something that people would have expected me to do. My friends probably wouldn't describe me as funny unless it was in a ditzy way. I mean, I've worked in PR after all. I was never the class clown, and I'm the one who starts laughing 5 minutes after a joke is told, when I finally get what's so funny. And after the 8-week course, we did a performance for friends and family at a graduation night. Now, before I did this, the thought of standing on that stage filled me with terror. I mean, can you imagine doing that? It really was something to behold. My legs turned to jelly, just thinking about feeling so vulnerable on stage. I mean, even Jerry Seinfeld says the first time he performs new material, he feels like he's going into work in his underwear. So how do you think I felt about this? But I'd had no huge ambitions to become a professional comedian. So I thought, if I enjoy the experience, I'll just carry on with the journey. And if not, I can always ply my friends and family who came to see me with so many drinks that they've got no recollection of what took place on that stage that night. Well, as it turns out, I had a ball. And within a few months, I was standing on the stage of the Sydney Opera House performing a comedy gig. But before I managed to get myself on this stage, I had to do a lot of work on my own imposter syndrome. Have you ever been given a golden opportunity but turned it down for fear of not being good enough, embarrassing yourself and making a fool of yourself? Or maybe you took on that opportunity but you're not able to enjoy it because you find yourself riddled with self-doubt and anxiety, and you're just waiting to be found out. Now, if this is you, don't worry. You're not alone. A recent review of 62 studies by the National Centre of Biotechnology Information showed that 82% of people felt imposter syndrome at some stage of their life. And from the research that I've done, I can break down the behaviour that manifests from this imposter syndrome into 4 key areas. The first one is comparison. Do you compare yourself to the people that you see on your social media feed, whose lives just look so perfect? I know I do. The second one, people-pleasing. When you're not feeling good enough, you're always trying to get acceptance from everyone else. And you do this by saying yes to things you really want to be saying no to. Because by getting someone else's acceptance, it's filling that hole that you're not filling yourself. The third one, perfectionism. How many people here suffer from that? That is just struggling to get the task done and complete because it's never, ever good enough. And last but not least, self-sabotaging behaviour. That is, you really want to achieve a goal, but you never let yourself get there because of the behaviour you do to keep cutting you off from achieving that goal because of fear of not being good enough. Now, some of us suffer from all of these things when we're suffering with imposter syndrome, but most people suffer from one more than others. For me, when I was trying to bring up the courage and get myself together to be able to get on that stage at the Sydney Opera House, it was comparison. Some of the comedy legends that I absolutely love are The Rock, Judy Carter, Hannah Gatsby, Jerry Seinfeld, Celeste Barber. These are all brilliant comedians. They have brilliant minds. They are brilliant writers. Who am I to think that I can get on stage at the Sydney Opera House and perform a gig when I just saw Hannah Gatsby do exactly the same thing 2 months prior? But I knew this kind of negative thought and mindset was not doing me any favours. And I really did want to take on this opportunity. So I had to do some major work on my mindset. And one of the key things I did was reframe can't to can. And this is what I suggest you do too. Flick the switch from can't to can to change the brainwaves in your brain. You see, our thoughts create our reality. So if we keep thinking, I can't, I'm scared, I'm not good enough, guess where you're going to find yourself? Feeling scared that you can't, not good enough, and not doing it. So you have to flick the switch to more positive thoughts. And the most effective way to do that is when you're in a meditative state, because that is when your brain is in the theta state and it's communicating with your subconscious. So that's what I did. I quite often throughout the day lay in bed and I meditated. And when I was deep in that theta brain state, I would visualize myself on stage at the Opera House. I would embody my inner Hannah Gatsby, but be authentically me on that stage and tell myself that I can do it. And then during the day, when I wasn't meditating, I would have a mantra. And that mantra would be, I am a comedian and I bring joy to people from the stage. And I said it to myself again and again and again. And that is how I got to be standing on that stage, delivering my stand-up comedy and having people roaring with laughter. The best feeling ever. Now, what's that going to be for you? What's your stand-up comedy? Most of us don't want to be stand-up comedians, and you know what? I don't blame you. But what do you want to do that you're holding yourself back from because you're scared and you fear that you're not good enough? What is it? Let's explore.